Zach, welcome to the show, man.
Justin, pleasure. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to dive into your journey, your story. You're helping entrepreneurs all over the world, sell high tickets, sell from the stage, grow an audience, do all that fun stuff, man. And I think it's fascinating because I really do believe that doing events, whether it be online or in person,
Mhm.
building community is one of the greatest hacks you could possibly have as an entrepreneur. It's an absolute game changer, and you're the master behind doing all of this. But where I want to start is who is Zach today, and then we'll
Mm.
break down how you got there,
Yeah, you want personal or business or a little bit of both?
dude. Whatever you're feeling.
Yeah. I'll give the quick little short and skinny of it. Zach today, 32 years old, married here in Nashville, Tennessee. Been an entrepreneur for about 11 years now. Um, Man, on a personal level, love bourbon, love trying out new restaurants, huge foodie, very involved in our church as well. And on the business side of things, once again, been an entrepreneur for about 11 years, been in the marketing space the entire time. Started off as an agency owner, still technically have the agency arm of the business that makes us the majority of the revenue. Also do quite a bit of consulting as well. And yeah, I mean, once again, happy to go into whatever details you want, but that should be a good high level.
Yeah. So you said you weren't. Well, first of all, bourbon. What's your go-to bourbon?
Okay, so if you're a bourbon fanatic, that's a almost a trick question because there's a different bourbon for different occasions.
Oh,
But in general, I would say it's like a daily drinker, happy to share it, easy to go find just about anywhere on any shelf. Really, really like Woodford Double Oak. So Woodford Reserve Double Oak is a great one, about $65 a bottle. If I'm going for the celebratory pour, I'm going to go probably like a Michter's 10 year or maybe like I mean, if I'm really having some fun, probably like a George T. Stagg. The 2025 batch was fantastic. So those are wildly different gamuts there, but yeah.
are you a cigar guy too?
I have had a few. Ironically, I have a cigar club membership to a place called Red Phone Booth here in Nashville. But no, not really. I don't go very, very often. The only time I go is because I'm a social butterfly. And oftentimes when I'm getting steak with a good friend or like business connections, usually steak and bourbon also lead to the subject of cigars. And so
Yeah.
usually if the group I'm with is like, yeah, let's go have some cigars. Most cigar lounges are way too smoky for me. And so that's why I pay for the membership that I do. They have a really, really good air filtration system and fantastic bourbon selection. So like, well, that's worth it for me to justify staying out, going out, enjoying some further time with friends. May have one from time to time, but no, I'm not super into it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's funny. I used to be a Scotch guy.
Okay.
So I was solely a Scotch drinker. The Glens, because they fell on the sweeter side, not as peaty.
Yeah.
And then my wife and I, the first half of our honeymoon was in Dublin, and so
Oh,
started to kind of do like the whiskey tours and
yeah.
got into that. And the daily drinker, more affordable. There's a whiskey that I'd never heard of until we were in Ireland. It's called Powers.
Okay.
And so we went to the History of Whiskey Museum, and then afterwards we went to the bar there and had an Irish coffee, and that's the whiskey they recommended. I go, why do you recommend that one? And she goes, you're American. I go, very much, clearly the most American person here. And she was like, if you go to an Irish pub in America and they don't have Powers, it's not a real Irish pub. And I was like,
Wow.
fascinating. And it's only
Huh.
like $36 a bottle and
Okay.
super smooth and really good. I know it's not a bourbon, but try it out if you
Yeah.
do go into the whiskey world.
Yeah. It pretty easy to find here in the States though. Like
Yeah,
at a
any
liquor store
liquor
at least.
store. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Right
dude.
on.
So check it out. Anyway, I didn't know we'd go off on that tangent there,
Well, I'm here for it though.
but I'm
I'm
glad we
actually
could
gonna
we
go
could
write that
have
down.
that chat. So you had mentioned earlier that you've been an entrepreneur for you say 11 or 12 years.
11 years now. Yeah.
So you started early 20s, hit the
Uh-huh.
ground running. What was the draw for you to get into entrepreneurship?
Man, I think I just saw the opportunity. I wasn't seeking it out by any means. I didn't come from an entrepreneurial family. I was actually trying to do marketing in a really large Fortune 500 company, think like a Nike or Apple or something. And I knew that most big companies like that would not hire a brand new, fresh out of college grad with no experience. And if they did, they were probably going to be hiring from bigger, more well respected schools than the middle of nowhere school I was at in Illinois. So I started doing a bunch of internships, just marketing related internships with a bunch of small businesses. And after, I think my fourth, if you want to call it an internship, it was technically with Chubby Shorts. I was an ambassador for them. And I got second in sales out of about 300 ambassadors throughout the country. Once
Wow.
again, small school in the middle of nowhere in Quincy, Illinois. In January of 2015, which for time machine here, most guys, if they were wearing shorts, cargos were the only thing they were wearing,
Yeah.
especially in the Midwest.
Yeah,
And
you get roasted if you wear them.
oh yeah, 100%. But anyway, that's what it was in the Midwest, at least in 2015. And the only people that were wearing them were down in Florida and Texas A&M, UCLA. I was like, well, I want more free product. I need my promo code to get used more often, and so I started using my Instagram account pretty religiously on marketing purposes, and that's how I started getting a lot of success with that. Whether you want to call it an internship or ambassadorship. And so at that point, I'm like, all right, well, I'd much rather just get paid in dollars than in free product at this point with social media marketing. And this is obviously where things are going. So I searched for my next internship going into the summer of my junior year. Came across a social media marketing agency. And at that point, that's when the light bulb hit. It's like, I knew that companies would hire agencies for marketing. I did not think one company would hire an agency to run their social media, though. It's like, if that's actually a thing, there's no reason I got to wait until I'm 40 to go start a business doing that. Like, there's no better time than now. And so I said, well, let's not be so naive. I'm sure there are services and nuances and pricing that I can go learn from an internship like that. So let me go work for their place free for a summer, and then I'll go start my agency. And so that's exactly what I did. I had that internship from May 31st to July 31st, worked for free for the whole summer, learned kind of the business side of things in the background, and had my first client paying us $1,000 a month about a week after the internship was over, before I went back to school my junior year. So it was just kind of is an opportunity, and that one client was paying me more than my volleyball scholarship was. So I said, Coach, I'm out of here, and kind of built it part-time out of the dorm room.
That's amazing. So did you graduate college?
Yeah, I did. 3.5 years. So I didn't really care to. I very quickly saw that I didn't need my college degree for what I was doing, but I went ahead and used the remainder. I had about a year and a half left of schooling at the time that I got my first client. I said, well, there's no better time than this to build the business out of the dorm room. Like, I have access to a bunch of other interns, aka free labor, and so used my student network there for some labor, and then also used a lot of the university connections as well for some local networking and being able to just try to get my foot in the door with some other potential clients. And that's what I did there.
Dude, you know what's funny about that story is like I look at so many entrepreneurs that built the side hustle in order to leave the job. Like, you built the side hustle while your full-time job
Yeah,
was college, and then you're
yeah.
building this side hustle, and you're seeing the opportunity build off of that. How were you able to manage that schedule? Because I know, like, so I only went to 3 semesters of community college,
Sure.
but I've seen the workload that some college students have. How were you able to manage it? Just, was it sleepless nights? Like,
Well,
what did that look like?
it definitely some sleepless nights for sure. I actually think that volleyball helped me out though, because volleyball, like, it was technically a Division I scholarship, and so you're having 2 days the majority of the year, and when you're not having 2 days, you're traveling, and when you're traveling, it's like it's a pretty hectic schedule, and so being a full-time student athlete in college with also managing a full-time a load of work, it kind of conditioned me to deal with the busier schedule. And so it's like, well, cool, let's just replace volleyball with the business stuff. And if anything, it almost felt easier at times because I wasn't having to travel. Plus, once again, I had some other students and interns to be able to help me on out. So, and I didn't have a huge business full of, like, let's just be very clear. I think the max I got it to is about $3,000 a month in terms of total revenue whenever I was in college. It wasn't until after college that it actually started growing. So it
That's a lot
wasn't
of
too
money
bad.
when you're in college, though.
It was. For what it's worth, I felt pretty wealthy, but looking back, I'm like, man, I was never more broke. But neither here nor there.
So how has it evolved since then? One thing I've always loved about the entrepreneurial journey is, like, where you start isn't necessarily
Correct.
going to be where you end. It could be the gateway to the next thing. Like, I did the basic thing of, like, hey, I had a podcast before anybody else, really. And so people are like, hey, I always wanted a podcast. Can you help me? Oh,
Yep.
okay. I'll build a podcast production company, right?
Yep.
It's not anything that I do now. So what was that evolution like to get you to where you are now?
Great question. So, in general, I started off doing marketing for small businesses, just a lot of like the first client was a personal training gym, and then right after that was a real estate agent, and then right after that was a pretty large salon. And at that point, that's whenever I graduated. Came back to St. Louis, was living with my parents, just trying to build a business, and I didn't know really how to build it other than continue to network. And networking wasn't really getting me business skills. Like obviously I was kind of like trial by or like learn through trial and error, but I wasn't truly learning incredible lessons. I wasn't there to learn anything. People weren't teaching me how to do business. And so at that point, I started to invest into masterminds. Investing into masterminds, I didn't do this to get clients. I literally just did it to learn how to grow the business. But because I was the Facebook ads person or the lead gen person in a lot of those masterminds, a lot of the people in there were coaches, consultants, course creators, etc. And they were trying to run ads. And so then they would start to hire me for helping them out to sell their programs. That was probably probably like 2017, 2018. And at that point, that's when my niche, I guess you could call it, started going more towards coaches and consultants and selling more high ticket things. So still running Facebook ads, still doing funnels, just specializing in working with higher ticket offers. And the pivot to specifically paid virtual events was, I guess you could say 2020, when good old COVID started going on. More and more and more people started focusing on the online world. I had a client come to me from across the world. His name was Jai. He lived over in Australia, and he said, "Hey man," technically he said, "Hey mate, I've got a virtual event I'm doing. I'm selling tickets for $7. Can you help me sell tickets?" I said, "Sure thing." So we spent about $100,000 in ads. He sold about 8,000 tickets. He was $250,000 in revenue on the front end. So like profitable, and he was happy. He was going into the event. And the day before the event started, we were doing our debrief because once again, he'd only hired me for the ads. And I said, "Forgive me for never asking, but what are you actually selling during your event?" He said, "Selling?" I said, "Yeah, like you're going to sell something, right?" He goes, "No, mate, like these people have paid to be here. I'm not selling them anything." I said,
They paid $7.
"Yeah, yeah, Justin." I go, Jai, they paid $7. That was literally exactly what you just said, for 2 days of help. You really think you're going to be able to help them solve all of their issues in a matter of 2 days? He goes, "No, no, no. That's why I have a course for." I said, "But you're not going to let them know about the course?" He said, "Well, no, I'll let them know about it, but they'll just have to join the wait list and we'll open up enrollment like 3 or 4 months later." I said, "You either hate your clients or you hate money, because this is a really bad decision." And so he's like, "Well, if you reckon like I could just open up the offer." I said, "Yeah, I reckon." So 48 hours later, he texted me. He goes, "Hey, thanks so much for the suggestion." Made an extra $250,000 from that conversation we just had. Wow. And with a literally like no planned pitch. And about a week after that, I had a different client. She reached out to me. She was doing about 20, 30 grand a month total in her coaching business. And she said, "Hey, I'd like to do a 3-day virtual event. Have you ever done one of those before?" I said, "Well, I literally just helped a client do a 2-day virtual event." And his was, he charged for the tickets. He charged for attendance. He had a great show rate. It might be valuable for you to charge, call it $7, like let's just repeat some successful actions. She did the same thing. And she, about a month after this conversation, did her event. She made 248 grand in sales. And keep in mind, she was doing 20 or 30 grand a month before that. And she did a $248,000 day. And that's kind of when I started getting more into the paid virtual events, and then went all in on the brand in 2024 after enough case studies.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give you some of my limiting beliefs, and I want you to fire back at me.
Okay.
So I did 2 virtual events during COVID. They were live. They were full days.
Okay. Free or paid?
It was paid. So it was paid events.
Okay.
A couple people got in for free who had bought the ticket from the in-person event because they'd already bought that ticket, whatever. Right.
Sure.
And so what I'm saying is the people were excited because, oh, it's human interaction, even though it's over Zoom. Yeah. What are you seeing now with, post-COVID? People might be Zoomed out, live event out. Yep. Are 2-day live events still actually good virtual, or how have you kind of shifted that over the years? Because in my brain, I'm like, I don't want to sit on Zoom for 2 days.
Yeah. So let's be very clear. These are not summit style events. So these are like 1 hour, maybe 2 hours max per day for 2 days in a row. Okay. So people do have the time and the attention and bandwidth to be able to give you that short amount of time for 2 days in a row. people have a very hard time giving you that amount of attention and bandwidth if you were to do a full 8-hour session for 2 or 3 days in a row. I know some people that are trying to host those, they don't have a lot of success. Even the 4-hour sessions where it's like, hey, we're going to do a 4-hour masterclass. People have a really hard time keeping that retention rate pretty high and the engagement rate high throughout the whole 4 hours. So keep that in mind, a little different. Now, as far as the 2 days in general, I mean, yeah, those are working really, really well for people. And in terms of, virtual versus in person, I will say firsthand, in person, man, there's nothing you could possibly do to replace the power of an in-person connection face to face. That's why I'm going to be at your event. I love in-person events. But for most small business owners, dude, it's just not feasible to go rent out a conference room, get the food and beverage minimums, start trying to sell tickets. Like, you could easily go conservatively $75,000 to $100,000 in the hole on an event that you have no idea if it's going to actually turn a profit for you or not. And so the virtual is just a really great way to test out the waters and see if you could start to fill up a room. And if you can, great. Virtual has unlimited capacity. So we sold up to 15,000 tickets for an event before. You can't do that for an in-person event. Like, after you get the 4-wall venue, you're locked into that size. So anyway, that's a couple little things there.
No, I like it because in my brain it was an all-day event because that's what I'm used to. And so I was like, no, totally. That totally makes more sense. And by the way, $100,000 on an event. I know somebody, this is no joke, a couple years ago, I won't say who it is. She lost $1 million on an event.
I believe that. Yeah.
It's out of control. And I will tell you, like, the reason I go and find weird third-party venues for my events versus, a hotel is because a hotel will charge you $250 to borrow a cord that they have sitting in a closet. So
yes, they will.
You have, if you're doing in person, you have to get super creative, but this virtual way to do it, to get people into your ecosystem, you get the email addresses, you get to build the relationship, you build the know, like, and trust in those 2 days. It's absolutely genius. Yeah. And so what types of successes have you seen with your clients doing this? I know you had mentioned a couple. And what are some of the keys to truly making it valuable enough that people are ready to buy at the end?
Yeah. Okay. So 2 totally different questions there. So a couple different keys, or I'm sorry, a couple different examples of successes from these. I'll give a couple awesome big ones that are shiny and extra special. And then I'll also bring this to more relatable numbers for some of the people that don't already have 7- and 8-figure businesses. Probably the biggest success we've had is we had a client that come to us in 2024. They were selling a $6,000 offer, teaching people, it was really like it was a financial offer. It was teaching people how to pay off homes and with a different strategy than mortgages. And we designed a 2-day event for them. Their first event, they spent, it was like 90 grand roughly on ads. They made about 550 grand in cash collected directly from that event on that month. And it's one of our mottos, like, let's just repeat successful actions. And so you could do, once you have this thing hosted, as long as it converts, of course, you could start rehosting that on a month-to-month cadence. So they rehosted that thing for 19 months in a row. Every single month, they were printing money. Over the course of those 19 months, they spent, it's about $4.2 million on ads. In cash collected directly from the event, they had cash collected over $10.9 million. So you're looking at about $6 million in profit. And that's before salespeople reached out and talked to a single ticket purchaser. If you include salespeople talking to those people, you got an extra $20 million that they cash collected on that. So multiple 8 figures from one repeatable event. They never really changed anything on that event. A different example would be that same client that I told you about where her first event was $250,000. She repeated that event 5 months later. She made $850,000 in cash collected in a day. And then she repeated it a third time 6 months after that, and she did $2.5 million in a single day. We helped her do a hybrid in-person and virtual event, and she did another $2.1 million then. Like, multiple clients we've helped do 7-figure days for. And then, let's use some smaller examples as well. We have a client who, he came to us without a proven offer. Even like he thought he wanted to sell a $2,000 course. He was an author. He was trying to come up with a course around his book and trying to teach people how to be more bold. And we helped him restructure that offer because his idea, there was no way it was going to sell well from stage. And in his case, he was like, hey, let's maybe take some of your existing sales experience that he had with a different company. Let's talk about how to help salespeople out, specifically with being more charismatic and more bold in their approaches, but also doing so without being too salesy per se. And we came up with a $7,500 offer for him. He only had like 6 people watch his presentation. He had a very, very, very small ad budget. 6 people watched it. He still had 1 person buy that $7,500 offer, which was, I mean, it was a great way to test out a new offer. And so like, you're talking someone that came to us with an unproven offer. We've also done that for people that made 45 grand on their first event with an offer they'd never sold before. So we have the brand newbie, brand new people that are trying to come up with their first offer, trying to launch it. They've never sold from stage, making tens of thousands. And then we have the other people that have done millions. So kind of across the gamut there. Pretty much every industry you could think of, by the way. Tax strategy, fractional CFOs, tax remediators. We also have coaches in every industry, mindset coaches, relationship coaches, spiritual coaches, business coaches, relationship coaches, parenting coaches, like you name it. We've probably helped them out.
That's great. Like, it's so funny that you do that and you do it with such success, because how often do people go, who's your perfect avatar? Talk to one person, only work with one type of client, but you're able to really kind of use this across all aspects of what you're doing. What's different between what you're doing in your business to be able to do that, and then the people who try and spray paint the earth and they're missing everybody?
Yeah. So for us, our acquisition source has come from, like, of course, you're always going to have word of mouth and referrals. And so whoever you help out, they will usually give you a referral that was like them. So that continues to compound in slightly different ways. You're always going to slightly branch out because of those sorts of referrals. But then for us, we will sponsor a lot of events, and we also do our own virtual events. So we'll practice what we preach. And when we're talking about like our ads, we'll have a bunch of different types of hooks that will appeal to a bunch of different types of pain, but they all help people with the same thing. So the person that's like, hey, you've been burnt by 4 agencies now who all promised you the world with a bunch of great leads. They got you a bunch of clicks. They told you they were doing their job, and you have absolutely nothing to show for it, and you're $30,000 in the hole. Usually, whatever. We can go down that route. We can go down the route of like, hey, you've been selling one-on-one coaching or one-on-one services the last couple of years, and you want to launch a group program, but you don't know how to launch a group program because you don't want to launch a group program with your random referrals that are coming on in and sell your first group member to one person at a time. That's kind of disingenuous. And then, I don't know. So I understand that people are attracted to us for a bunch of different reasons. And so for our actual advertising campaigns, we will just test out all the different angles, and we let people be attracted to whatever they want, whatever they're actually attracted to. So there's that. And then as far as the events go, like, we'll sponsor a lot of events as well. Sometimes we'll sponsor an event that's specifically for authors. And so like, we'll be at an event called Book Thinkers out in Boston next month at the time of recording this. I will make that presentation designed specifically for how authors can monetize their books and monetize their expertise through more premium priced services, and then bridging that into, well, how do you launch and how do you scale those premium price services? Okay, cool. Insert paid events. So there's that. Does that answer that question?
No, for sure. No, and I love that, because I think it bucks the trend that everybody's talking about, having to niche down into working with one specific person. And let's be real, I think that your messaging can be for one person, but if you can help another person, why wouldn't you, right? Like, it's an interesting trend in the entrepreneurial space right now, where there's a certain truth to it, but at the same time, like, oh no, you can be successful doing it this way as well. So I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about, okay, we've got the people in the room, whether it be virtual or in person. What's an effective way to sell without being slimy?
I love that question. Okay, there are what we call the 5 buyer beliefs. Well, first of all, before we even get into the 5 buyers beliefs, you have to let people know what your intentions are, and you have to frame the room properly from day 1, minute 1. And we will literally, like, feel free, if you're listening to this, transcribe this, use it word for word in your next webinar, in your next virtual event, whatever you want to use this on, feel free. But we'll open up with something along the lines of, hey guys, look, real quick, super pumped you're here. That said, you guys are all here to achieve X, Y, and Z. And we are going to help you get pointed in the right direction. Okay, so let's just say that you're doing business coaching or something. It's like, hey, you guys are all here to grow your businesses, and that's amazing. And we have the next 2 days slotted out, 90 minutes a day for the next 2 days to help you out with that. We're going to teach you this and this and this and this, and it's going to be incredible. But guys, if I'm just being really, really honest, it would be impossible to radically transform your business in a matter of 2 90-minute sessions. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that we're just going to change everything, because we can't. Most of you guys are all in different spots in your businesses, and you have different amounts of groundwork to be laid and different things that need to be done. And so what I can promise you is that by the end of tomorrow, or by the end of this presentation, is you will all be pointed in the right direction, and you will all have clarity on what can be done to go improve your business and achieve that result that you're looking for. Now, let's just be very clear. There's probably 2 different types of people watching this presentation today. Person number 1, you are the do-it-yourselfer. And boy, am I glad you're here. You're the type of person that you're going to see this direction. You're going to see this new path. Your light bulb's going to go off. You're like, that makes so much sense. Thank you so much, Zach. See you later. Probably will never talk to you again. We'll probably never pay you another dollar. Totally fine. Like, pumped you're here. See you later. Sayonara on day 2. Man, you're going to like enjoy this thing. Take as many notes as possible. Now, person number 2, you're the person that you're like me. You don't want to figure things out on your own. You would much rather, you understand that like those who go alone go fast, and those who go with each other, or those who go with others oftentimes go further. And so you'd rather get some support after this event's over, because you don't actually know what's going to be around the corner on this new path. And you know that we do. So if that's you, guys, we are not going to leave you hanging. We do have opportunities to work with us. We could let you know what that looks like at the end of tomorrow. No pressure to buy, but just want to let you guys know there will be an offer presented. That cool with everyone? Immediately, that addresses the 2 different types of people in the room. It addresses the person that's skeptical, arms folded, leaning back. They're like, what's this person going to sell to me? I can't trust them. And they're thinking that this whole thing is just going to be fluffy sales presentation. And it's not. It's like you're actually giving value, but you're helping them address the fact that I can only give so much value in 3 hours. Like, we can't actually revolutionize your whatever that area of your life is in 3 hours. And so it kind of helps them to see, okay, this person's not just like a fluffy presenter. Like, they're actually being really honest with me, and I can actually appreciate that. And then the other person it addresses is the person that's naive, that's thinking they literally just paid $7 or $97, thinking that they're never going to have to make another investment in this area of their life ever again, because their entire life's going to be radically transformed in 3 hours. And it's addressing the naivety of that person. Yeah. And now neither of those people will be confused or thrown off or upset when you decide to give an offer, as you just mentioned you would towards the end of your presentation. So that's how we like to open up. And then before I get into the 5 buyer beliefs, any questions on that?
No, I love that. And I'll say this too. It does a number of things, right? Like, if it's the first time you're selling like that, it calms you down.
Yeah.
Because like, okay, now they know. I've told them that this is what's going to happen. So obviously I've been in sales my entire life, long before I was an entrepreneur. And so I've been in every sales training you could possibly think of. Yep. And so Sandler sales training calls it an upfront contract. Okay. I'm going to tell you exactly what to expect. Right. And that's exactly what you did. And I think what it does is everybody just drops their walls immediately. Okay, I know it's coming. It's up to me what I'm going to do at the end of this, but I know that it's coming. So I love that. It's such a great way to calm your nerves and also disarm everybody, because everybody's skeptical of everybody, right? Like, it's just how we approach things. Yeah. And you got to earn that trust. So I love that, dude.
Yeah. So, and then as far as the 5 buyer beliefs, these are, I say these are important to establish before you give your offer. So this is before they even know what you're actually selling. You have to instill these beliefs in the minds of your attendees or your prospects. And this can be done on a one-on-one sales call. It can be done in your marketing before anyone ever gets on a one-on-one sales call with you, or it can obviously be done from stage, which is, these are very, very simple, not revolutionary, but people don't always think through these things. Number 1 is you need to get them to truly believe in their heart of hearts that I have a problem that I genuinely need to solve for. You could tell them how to lose weight all day long, but if they don't truly believe they're fat and overweight, they're not going to care. So there's that. Number 2, after they believe that they have a problem, you have to get them to believe that your framework or your method or your solution is genuinely the most superior option on the market to actually solve this problem that I now admit that I have. So you have to almost sometimes throw some rocks and help them logically understand why a lot of these other solutions that maybe they've tried haven't worked for them. This helps them to almost feel as if, hey, it's not my fault. You're taking pressure away from them, and you're helping them see that sometimes those solutions that you were just trying were simply incomplete solutions, or here's why they were never actually going to work for you. And so it actually provides them a lot of clarity and almost like a feeling of relief of like, makes a lot of sense. I never have to even try those things again. Okay, but now I guess I should do yours because it seems like yours solves all of those things that these other solutions didn't solve for. And now the third belief that you have to get someone to believe is that this solution would work for someone like me. When I say that, I jokingly, but it's not always a joke, say a lot of us we like to believe that we're all special snowflakes and that we're unique and that here's why that solution won't work for me, because we like to believe our limitations are stronger than the opportunities that we can otherwise tap into. And so you have to show people through ideally case studies and stories and testimonials that you've helped people out in worse positions than them. And everyone's going to have their unique limitations, whether they have an unsupportive spouse or they don't have a huge budget or they don't have an audience or they've always had failure in the past. Like, you have to show them that you helped people out with them in those unique limitations. And ideally, you have a different case study prepared for each of those unique limitations. If you could do that, they'll be like, well, dang, if you help this person named Joey, who's way worse off than I am, surely you can help me. So there's the third one. Fourth one is that they have to truly believe that you're the guide that I trust and that I want to follow. There might be 4 or 40 other competitors of yours that are running ads to them this very same day that they're about to hear from you. Why should they give you any trust and credibility over all of those other people? And that's through just like, have some fun. Like, this is where I'm like, I hate when people try to use perfected presentations, like word for word scripts, because this is not your time to rely on a word for word transcription or a perfect speaker outline that ChatGPT wrote for you. Like, people just want to know who you are, have some fun, riff, like go off script. It's okay, because the right people will be really, really attracted to that. Yeah. And then the fifth one is once you got all of that down, now they've got to truly believe that now is the right time, that I need to actually solve this problem, and there's no better time. You can do that through internal and external motivators. Internal motivators are like the emotional, you got to keep in mind, we all make our decisions emotionally first, and we back them up and logically rationalize them. And so the emotional pain points that you might be able to tap into in the world of business, for example, you might be able to ask some hypothetical questions like, hey, how much longer, like how many more weeks are you going to let go by telling your spouse that this is going to be the week that those deals start to close, or this is going to be the week that things start to change, or how many more years are going to go by of you telling your spouse that this is the last year that you wouldn't have been actually ready for paying your taxes or whatever. Like, there's all of those things that they're like, dang, like that's a real thing I've been dealing with for a long time. I'm kind of tired of that. So those are those emotional ones you can start to tap into. Those are internal motivators. And then external motivators are like, this is the logic on why now makes the most sense. Really easy example on this would be, I'm going to be meta here for a second. When I present, I'll oftentimes ask people, I'll say, wouldn't it be nice to go back to like day one of Facebook ads launching, when like not a single other competitor was running ads and it was like a fraction of a penny to get someone to click on your ad? And everyone's like, yeah, kill for that. I'm like, can't you imagine like how much more money you'd be making if that was today? And everyone's like, yeah, that'd be amazing. It's like, can we all agree that marketers are screwing everything? Like, once someone catches on to something, everyone starts doing it. It's like, it works great for about a year, but then eventually it starts to run out on that effectiveness. And everyone's like, yeah, it makes sense. Like, let me ask you a question. Can any of you name more than 3 competitors right now who are actively hosting these paid virtual events? And almost every single person in every single room that I'm in, it's like, no, I can't. I know of 1 person, or I know of 2 people. And someone's like, there's someone that's like, oh, I can name more than 3. I'm like, can you name more than 5? They're like, no. I'm like, there you go. Would you not kill for the opportunity to run ads when you were only 1 of 5 people in your market that was running ads? They're like, yeah. I'm like, so doesn't it stand to reason that now's the right time to take advantage on this instead of waiting for 90 other competitors to start doing this? They're like, yeah, no, that logically makes sense. And so that's an external motivator. That's a way to logically explain why you should take action without there's no you're not making claims. You're just helping them rationally make a decision. They're like, yeah, no, makes sense. Like I can't refute this person on this point. So anyway,
Yeah, dude.
that's all of that.
No, I love it. And that's the huge takeaway, right? Like go rewind all of that, but because that's something that you can implement into every conversation you're having for your business right
Yep.
now. You don't even need the event. So if you're like, I'm not ready to
Correct.
work with Zach yet, I will in the future, but what can I implement right now? That's the gold of this conversation, dude. So thank you so much for sharing that with my audience.
Of course.
So I want to ask you a question I ask every single person on this show. It's a
Okay.
two-part question. The first part is, what is your definition of success? And the second part is, what are three things you do every single day to ensure that success for yourself?
I love this. So, fully transparent, I had done a little bit of prep work on this. I don't have uh, I don't have anything written down, but as far as my definition of success, it's living the life that not only you want to live, but more importantly for me, I'm a believer, I'm a strong Christian. For me, it's like being the person that God has actually called you to be. For each person, that's going to look totally different. Some people, it's like, you need to build that business. Other people, it's like, no, you need to be present, be with your family, and just be at home. Like everyone has been called to a different calling, and that's totally fine. Some people are called to be missionaries, like in third world countries. That's fine. Don't disobey what you feel like God has called you to do. So stepping into your calling and obeying in that, for me, is success. Because for me, if we talk about a motivator, I believe that we are called to multiply. And I mean, it's in the Bible, like literally first words of God to humanity in Genesis chapter 1, verse 28. It says, be fruitful, do multiply, go have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the sky. It's like be, do, have. But for me, I believe that I'll have to make an account to God someday with what I did with my time here on this earth. And I cannot fathom having to essentially tell him that I just wasted my time away and that I was disobedient and that I simply maintained what he gave me, because he didn't call me to maintain. He called all of us to multiply. So that's my answer there. Three things. The second question was three things that we do or that I do every single day to make sure that I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Number one, read Bible and actually pray and spend time with the Lord. That is my way of making sure that I'm staying tethered to the Lord and working on that relationship, because in the Bible it says that it says guard your heart, for from it flows the wellspring of life. And it's like, that's my time to protect my heart. That's my time to be filled up. That's my time. And you literally have a piece of content on this somewhere out there that's like every single time someone answers this, it's like the three things are always about filling up your own cup, which I solely agree on. But anyway, that would be one thing, is just making sure that I'm filling my cup up first thing in the day, guarding my heart, arming my mind, and being prepared for what the day may bring. Number two would be also totally outside of the world of business, which is working out and stewarding health. So right now, that looks like I'm running 5 times a week. I'm training for the Chicago Marathon. Also lift weights a couple times a week as well, and usually counting the majority of my macros. Once again, of course, I'm a foodie, and so of course I'm going to have some fun as well. But in general, stewarding health. Because if you don't have energy, like how are you even going to be able to call out, or how are you even going to be able to live out that mission that you've been called to? And longevity is pretty important. And then third one is in terms of, once again, it's not even business. It's actually going to be spending time with my wife, which is like essentially, even for the person that's not married, you could just boil this down to invest in the relationships that matter most to you. I think that's important. Whether that's your parents, whether that's your loved ones, your siblings, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, girlfriend, your neighbors, invest in the relationships that matter deeply to you, because at the end of the day, like you can go make all the money you want in the world, but if you have no one, man, there's no other more lonely situation I could possibly imagine. Like money's pointless at the end of the day. So without relationships, of course. So anyway, there's my three things.
Dude, I love it. I love it. So I wrap up every single interview with the same question, but before we get there, how can people get a hold of you, follow you? What's all the good stuff?
Yeah. Follow me on Instagram. That's probably where I'm most like personally active. Just Zach Hesterberg is the the tag there. If you're more interested in like business content specifically, a little bit more long form, I am active on YouTube. So just once again, Zach Hesterberg on YouTube. And if you're actually interested in working with us in some way, shape, or form, you'd like our help, like literally designing an event and building that and managing it for you, just go to paidevents.com. We'll take good care of you there.
Yeah, and if you're watching this video, you see that he's taking a couple swigs of an energy drink. If you find his Instagram page, he admits that he drinks up to 8,000 milligrams of caffeine.
800
milligrams of caffeine a day. So there you go. He's got the reign. I'm a big fan of the Orange Monster. That's my go-to.
That's fair. Is the Orange Monster sugar free by chance?
Yeah, it's sugar free.
Okay, I was like, that's the one thing I stay away from, even though they're all definitely sweet in some way, shape, or form, usually with sucralose. But no, I respect that.
Yeah, dude, I love it. I love it. So, like I said, I wrap up every single interview with the same question since the show is called The Growth Now Movement. That is, in your life, what has been your biggest moment of growth?
Man, great question. I am currently going through one right now, and it's a story that's yet to be, like, I don't know the resolution on some things that I'm going through right now, which is, they're all good, but I'm going to wait on that, and I'll go to a different moment right off the top of my head. Would be when I first got married. I remember like it was yesterday. We were checking into the hotel. We were on the way to, man, this probably ain't even it, man. Okay. I'll say it anyway for lack of that. I want to respect people's time. So when my wife and I got married, we were going to the hotel to go check in, literally wedding night. I had thankfully already prepaid for the entire honeymoon and everything, but I was broke as a joke. Like, I thought that I had $2,700 a month coming on in terms of revenue. That was between two clients at the time. One was paying $1,750 a month, and one was paying $997 a month. And going into wedding night, I pull up my email to go check my like reservation to see if I can just like check in early at the hotel. And I see there was an email that I scrolled right past, said canceling services, and it was from the client that was paying me $1,750 a month. And I'm like, okay, I'm going into this new chapter of my life, supposed to be supporting my wife in this new city with bills already, and I'm making $997 a month. She has no idea, and I can't tell her right now. And
not now.
Yeah, not now, because that would ruin the entire honeymoon. And so for me, literally as I'm telling this story, I'm like, no, there's like 2 or 3 other stories that are way better than this. But regardless, for me, that was a moment where I had to, it was like reliance back on faith. Like I didn't know business well enough to just know how to go get more customers right away. And so I'm sweating it on my whole honeymoon. The honeymoon was ruined, just to be very, very clear for anyone listening to this. Literally, my wife, when she did find out, she's like, you owe me a second honeymoon, because I was so stressed the whole time that neither of us could enjoy it. But it was just like reliance on faith and knowing that God would provide, and leaning into him for peace despite so many unknowns and so many situational, just scary things going on, and also being the quote unquote provider of the family, provider of the household with nothing to provide with. I don't know, man. It was tough in so many different ways, because obviously I was financially scared, but then also like I now have someone relying on me. This is day one of someone relying on me, and I can't provide for her. And so it actually increased my reliance on God and his provision, which was so good for so many different reasons. And then whenever I was able to tell her what was going on, it actually helped us grow quite a bit closer. And she's like, she fully understood why I didn't tell her during the honeymoon. But anyway, it was a great moment for us to actually very quickly grow stronger together in our marriage, and for me to grow stronger in my relationship with the Lord. Once again, this is definitely not the biggest moment, but that was the first thing that came to my head. So,
no, dude, I love it. And have you given her the second honeymoon yet?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was back in 2022. And real quick, my takeaway on that for anyone listening is we all have back against the wall moments, and we all have those moments where you just feel like there's literally no way out. And sometimes the only way out is to take a deep breath. And I'm like, if you can envision yourself literally being stuck to drywall behind you, sometimes the only way out is to literally take a deep breath and take a step further back and actually break the drywall around you, where it actually feels like you're almost going into the wall. Because at that point, you just broke the drywall from around you, and now you could actually run forward. And so for the person listening to this, it's like, if you're actually going through it right now, the way out is not always immediately up. Sometimes you actually have to take a step back. Sometimes, whether it's a financial investment or like sometimes it's a time investment on like, hey, I'm not going to be able to go turn things around tomorrow, and I might actually have to take a step back and like almost tear down part of the business for the next month, or kind of rebuild things and allow for more health in the future. It's embrace the step back so you can actually run forward. But you can't always just run forward from zero. Sometimes you got to step back. So that's kind of my way of saying that without being too religious or too spiritual for the person that doesn't resonate with that yet.
Yeah, dude. Zach, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey with my audience. This has been great. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, dude. Thank you so much for having me, man.